All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more thing before we say goodnight from Legacy Studios in East Liverpool. Ted Arnaud, as always, talking the National Football League and the NFL Draft in prime time from Philadelphia on the NFL Network, Thursday night at 8 o'clock, April 27th. So what we're going to do in just a couple of moments, two of the best, that 1-2 punch of ESPN, Mel Kiper, Todd McShay. We'll get some of their thoughts about the AFC North. But some of the news that's making headlines over the last couple of days, I thought worth talking about. And a dear friend many years ago interviewed him when he played for the Hopewell Vikings, went on to play at Penn State. He is Paul Peslesny, who plays for Jacksonville, 133 tackles in each of the past two seasons, patrolling the middle of the Jacksonville defense. Pro Bowl Focus ranked the 32nd old veteran fourth among linebackers for the 2016 season. That's hard to believe they're calling him old, but he has been in the league a long time, folks, about 10 years. And they're talking about giving him an opportunity to go to the outside so they can give some young people playing time on the inside, and we're talking about Miles Jack. So what is that going to do to Paul Peslesny going from the inside to the outside, Ted?
Well, I just think he's a natural inside linebacker, so he's going to have to make some adjustments where speed is going to become ever more important, and he's going to have to adjust to coverage situations on the outside, which are going to be potentially a problem for him, but he's a great linebacker. I don't know why they would move him to the outside, but obviously they've got some pretty good readings on their potential draft picks. But he's got great athletic ability, so I'm sure he can do it.
All right, now let's talk about the big story. And a lot of people think that this will really get done come draft day because there's so much at stake here. Marshawn Lynch wants to go to Oakland to play. They say they've got a deal. Seattle's like, well, let's see. And NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport noted yesterday on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network that next week's draft, beginning, as I said, April 27th, running through the 29th in Philadelphia, could be the end of the Raiders' interest in Lynch if Oakland can add a power back. So they think it's going to be at least a week before this story comes to an end. Your thoughts?
Well, I think they're right. I think Oakland's going to be looking at the entire draft spectrum. Power running backs are not highly draftable right at the moment. There's maybe one or two in this draft, but you can fill that position probably in the third or fourth round. Obviously, Marshawn Lynch, coming from Oakland, having that background, wants to play with them. But I think, you've got a third-party intermediary in Seattle who's got to get satisfied with respect to any trade potential. So I think it's a tough deal to do, and I think Oakland's going to be really looking at the potential cost that he has and looking at how much better off they could be with a third or fourth round pick filling that role.
All right, now let's move on. It was Mel Kiper who really began this to make it fashionable to really care what was going to be happening with the NFL draft. That's my opinion. And Todd McShay has been kind of like his understudy, his partner, the future, but they still do a great job together on ESPN. And kind of 1-2 as far as what they think is going to happen with some of the teams in AFC North. Let's begin with the Cleveland Browns. Kiper, McShay in that order each time. Both believe Myles Garrett, defensive end, will be the top selection for the Cleveland Browns. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think he is kind of head and shoulders above a very, very good defensive class. But I think if the Browns don't pick him, or if they're looking at additional draft choices, trading down, but I almost look at him as being the potential of a Mean Joe Green, kind of a catalyst for the Cleveland Browns, in that he would stabilize their defense. He's really an unbelievable player with a great motor, great desires, great work ethic. Seems to be a good personal ethic. I think he's the kind of kid that, given the right opportunity with the Browns, can really help turn them around. And the only analogy I can use is Mean Joe Green back when the Steelers were floundering and they got him, and it kind of changed their fortunes.
All right, number 9, Cincinnati Bengals, Kiper McShay again. Mike Williams, wide receiver. Corey Davis, wide receiver. Your thoughts?
Both are great wide receivers. I think Corey Davis has not had the opportunity coming from Western Michigan to have the kind of exposure that Williams has had, but I think they're both great wide receivers, and I think, if I was to have to put my money on the dime, I'd probably go with Williams simply because he's had more experience in big games, but both of them are going to be, I think, future Pro Bowl players in the NFL, and I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them.
Listen, this could be a real big windfall for Cleveland if this goes down. At number 12, Mel Kiper says they could go after Deshaun Watson out of Clemson, the quarterback, and Todd McShay says O.J. Howard, tight end, would be the choice for Cleveland at number 12. If they could get Deshaun Watson and begin the draft with getting Garrett, my oh my, wouldn't that be a nice first round?
It would, but I don't think he's going to be there by the time that pick comes around. I think they're going to wind up with O.J. Howard at the tight end position. I just think the draftability of the Clemson quarterback, having the experience, the great games that he's had, even though he makes some bad decisions, I think, given the right coaching experience, I think he's not going to be there.
All right, number 16, Baltimore. Again, Mel Kiper, Todd McShay. Great 1-2 punch for ESPN. In this order, Mel Kiper says Tacrease McKinley, outside linebacker, will be their choice. And Todd McShay says the Ravens, 16th selection, first round, Cam Robinson, offensive tackle.
But I don't think they can go wrong with either one of those. I think you look at the injury situation that the Ravens have had on offense, I think they're going to look more towards the offensive line and protecting than they will at the defense right at the moment. They need to shore up. They've got a quarterback who, as you know, I have serious doubts over, but I really have doubts if he doesn't have protection. So I think they're going to go with a tackle and try and shore up that offensive line to give them a little bit more durability on that offense.
All right, the Steelers at number 30. Mel Kiper says Derek Barnett, defensive end, and Todd McShay says John Ross. He is the one with that incredible 40 time at the Combines, wide receiver.
Well, that's the difference with the Steelers. They're going to draft the very best guy who's on the board, and they can't go wrong. They need to back up some wide receiver positions. They need some tight end backup to add to their roster, and I think obviously they need an edge pass rusher. So, but I think they aren't desperate needs for any one of them. So they're going to look for the very best athlete that's on their board at that time. They really can't go wrong. My feeling is that they're infilling right now, and that's a great position to be in the draft.
All right, let's just take a little bit more of a look into the second round. Again, Mel Kiper, Todd McShay. Mel first, Todd second as far as these selections. We move forward now to the next round. Cleveland Browns 33rd pick. Joe Mixon, a running back, and Deshaun Kaiser says Todd McShay, a quarterback. So that's Mel Kiper with Mixon, and Kaiser says McShay, quarterback. We're talking about Cleveland at number 33.
I think Cleveland goes quarterback at number 33. I think that's where they're going to pick the potential that they have. And this Notre Dame quarterback has got all the tools. 6'4", 230, 240 pounds in that range. He's got to grow into it. The only question would be, are they going to have to force him in to be on a quarterback too soon? But I think they definitely go quarterback because I don't think they're going to get the quarterback that they want in the first round. So I think they'll be in a perfect position to add to the roster on the quarterback position in the second round.
Ted Arnaud, AT&T Sportsline, we're at Legacy Studios. Just a few more selections into the second round now. This is the mock draft of Mel Kiper and Todd McShay of ESPN. Number 41, the Bengals, Malik McDowell, defensive tackle, and McShay says T.J. Watt, outside linebacker. The Bengals, number 41.
I think at this point, T.J. Watt. First of all, the Bengals like Big Ten football players, and you got Watt sitting there. They obviously have some questions because he missed so much football time when he was in college, but he's got the lineage, he's got the desire, and he's got that Big Ten pedigree that the Bengals like. I think they go with TJ Watt.
Baltimore Ravens, number 47, Fabian Moreau, cornerback, and Jordan Willis, defensive end. That's Baltimore. Kiper, McShay. What do you think, Ted?
I think they go defense. I think they're not going to spend any draft picks on a quarterback until the later rounds. So I think they're going, once they shore up their offensive line, if I'm the Ravens and I've got my quarterback protected, I start really filling in on the defense, because the one thing that the Ravens have had has been big injury problems, and they've had a tough time protecting the offense. So I think they do that in the first round, and they really look at shoring up the defense in the second round.
All right, Cleveland, number 52, quickly, Marcus May, safety, Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver. Your thoughts about selection 52, Kiper, McShay, Ted?
Well, I think they get their quarterback early in the second round. They get their wide receiver later in the second round, give him a few more tools. And I think all of a sudden the Cleveland Browns become a little bit dangerous because they're shoring up that defensive line. Now they're starting to pick in and throw in some offensive tools that they're going to have. I think they're going to be looking at wide receiver. They're going to start really filling in that offense.
Last one, selection 62, our Steelers, Chris Wormley, defensive tackle, says Kiper. McShay says Derek Rivers, outside linebacker. We'll close on that note, Ted.
I think they look at outside linebacker to get some edge rush, get a little bit of support in that part of the game for the Steelers. But once again, they're not looking for somebody to start. They're looking for somebody to give them a couple of snaps during each game and to grow with the team. So I think they should go outside linebacker.
Final minute, anything that we should look for, a shocker, surprise, something that'll really be unique that first round of the draft when it hits prime time at 8 o'clock on the NFL Network from Philadelphia?
A lot of people are thinking that the Steelers are going to go quarterback, and they're really thinking the young man from Notre Dame as the potential quarterback that they're going to groom to be a replacement for Ben. He's got the tools. He's got the size, 6'4", 230, 240. Kind of fits into the Ben mold. That could be a potential shocker that you're going to see the Steelers grab a quarterback in the first round.
Ted Arnaud, much more this Sunday, 12:30, Disc Institute of Pittsburgh Newsline. He, of course, on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show. Good night, Ted.